Hi everybody in our extended family. We are starting a new semester this week. I'm very excited about that, and I want to start by introducing the book to all of you. It is a classic, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, and we'll be reading this all semester. I imagine we're going to be on this book for at least 6 weeks, so please get a copy and read it with us. I'm going to introduce it this week, and then next week hopefully we'll get through the first 30 pages. So, Man's Search for Meaning. I want to start with why I chose this book for our semester, because it's a heavy book. If you've never read it before, or if you remember reading it, it's a heavy read. It's actually, I would describe it as an experience. And I oftentimes when we're doing conferences and we're studying different things, I always tell you, this is one of the books I want in your permanent yoga library. And so we always say that there's 10 books Diana wants in your permanent yoga library. And then sometimes people say, what are the 10 books? And I say, you have to come to class. And then you have to keep coming to class. But this book, I would say, I believe should be in everybody's human library. That there's something so universal and powerful, and the teaching has such a gift for all of us, that I almost feel like I'm being a little bit courageous and daring to say here at the Shala, like, this is our read for the semester, but I really believe in it. And one of the reasons that I bring things to us like this book, or last semester was The Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell, was because we call this our school, Shala means school, and I'm constantly trying to find ways to grow myself, but to find ways to challenge all of you to continue to grow and to get stronger, and to svadhyaya, to know yourself. And in that, one of the analogies I've used over the last semester and over the years is that we have to kind of get off the couch of life, where we're just sitting on the couch eating our cheese puffs and chilling. And if we do that for too long, what we know is that we will have weak muscles, and our systems, like our lymphatic system, will start to deteriorate, will start to wreak havoc, not get good flow going on. Our breath will become weaker. And so this yoga practice gets you sort of off the couch and in movement and in breath in ways that kind of stress your system. Like we overbreathe, we do ujjayi breathing to increase your lung capacity and your neuroplasticity, but we challenge you in order to get that strength and to get that health that we're looking for. As well as a simple analogy of our muscles, you know, where we're going to stretch our muscles with breath and heat to a point where they're longer. And then with strengthening our muscles, the same, like we're going to do chaturanga after chaturanga after chaturanga until you have a strong back, until you have strong arms, and you have a strong, shoulders. And all of that is through that stressing that we actually become stronger. And then I always say, what you do here for a couple hours is what you use for the other 22 hours of your life to keep you healthy and in your movement and everything in life. So with all those things I said, the most important component for me with all of that is that this is a place where you're also emotionally or spiritually stressed or challenged in order to stay strong for life. So asking you to read this very powerful book for me is a way of using your muscles here to get stronger, is a way for you to challenge your own spirit and read something that might make you a little bit uncomfortable at times. But that brings all of us to a place of Vijnanamaya Kosha, a very deep place within ourselves that is very touched by something like suffering that is so universal and so relevant to the lives that we live today here in 2018 in Orange County, California. This book is so relevant to changing our lives and challenging us in a way that makes us stronger. So I want to tell you that when this book was first written, it was first published in 1949, and it had he wasn't going to publish it with a name. Viktor Frankl did not want the author to be the author of this book, and the reason he didn't want to author the book is because he didn't want it to be another book about what happened at the concentration camps. He literally wanted this book, or these words, to be a gift to humanity. He wanted this to be something that wasn't about him, but that was a way for all of us to see in the most hardest of suffering and situations, that there was hope. And when he first published the book, it had a different title. Do you guys remember what the title was? There are kind of two parts to the first title. I love the title. The first part said, "Say Yes to Life, a psychiatrist's experiences in a concentration camp." And he had those two pieces together for the title, and it was beautiful when I thought about it. The title had within it man's suffering, great suffering, historical for all of us to understand, great suffering. But he leads into that with, "Say yes to life." And this really is the gift of this book for us today in our lives. This is a gift to humanity to say, can you, in the midst of great suffering, can you, in the midst of the small little momentary sufferings, say yes to life? Can you make that choice? And the new title, as all of you know, is now, he switched it to Man's Search for Meaning. And I love this title as well because this is sort of how he breaks it down for us, is how we find ourselves able to withstand the most awful of sufferings, is we find meaning in life. And when we find meaning in something, in anything, even, he says, even in suffering, if we can find meaning in that, then we can be strong, and we can not only survive that, but we can continue to find hope and find love and find life within those situations. So I want to use an example. Oh, Kelly's not here, but just because we used her as an example back when we were studying the hero's journey. And I'm thinking of Kelly, one of our students who got a virus and needed to have a new heart and got a heart transplant. In the midst of that suffering for her and everything she had to go through to withstand that heart transplant and everything, I think of for Kelly that she had to find some meaning in that. Because we all, in any circumstance, I'm sure Viktor and Kelly and all of us can remember a time when we were suffering, we're just like, why me? You know, I didn't sign up for this, and this is unfair, and this is awful. But in that, if we find something like Kelly did, some meaning for her, some wanting to live for her relationship with her husband and her family and the life that she had, and to know that on the other side of this she wanted to help other people and raise awareness for organ transplants, that got her through the suffering, was placing meaning on that. And I, on Sunday, use myself as an example as well, you know, in the midst of losing someone that I love and that process of someone dying, I had to find meaning in that, you know. I guess I didn't have to find meaning in it, but I did find meaning in that. And on the other side of that as well, to be living without someone you love, for me, it's been powerful, and I can show up here every day and do what I do and be present for life because I was able to find some meaning in that. And so I ask all of you to consider one of his greatest teachings is the gift to all of us, a teaching that we are constantly given the opportunity to choose. And not just the big things, like to say, like, I choose to be the best version of myself in this really difficult situation, but to choose within the little moments of each day that we have these opportunities. And honestly, I think sometimes it's harder for us when we're just doing the little daily stuff to make good choices, because it's easier to like complain and to worry and to you know, all these kind of things are sort of easy, like we slip into them so easily but if we challenge ourselves in a way where we're constantly training ourselves to pull out of that and to make good choices around, how do I want to be in this situation? Do I want to worry, or do I want to rise above that and, you know, and take a different stance in my own mind? Then when the bigger things happen in life, you don't have to try as hard or think as hard, because like Viktor Frankl, such a beautiful example of this, he really, through logotherapy and through the life he had chosen, when he got to the concentration camps, had already been in a place in his own mind where he was making the most of situations. And in that, it came more natural to him, because in a sense, if we can say this, he'd almost trained himself for it. You know, but he trained himself here for that situation. So I just want to finish with Viktor Frankl's quote, about choice, but also the homework that I gave all of us last week when we were finishing up our semester. I said I wanted to start a new ritual at the Shala. We always finish our practice with our hands in front of our hearts, and we say Namaste, which is a sort of a universal way of being present and grateful and respectful. And last week I added to that 2 words. What were the 2 words? Thank you. So every time we touch our hands to our heart now, or maybe to our head, we say 2 very powerful words. Thank you. And the word that follows that has so much power. So if I say, thank you that Melanie came here today. I love having her next to me. Thank you so much that we get to look at the ocean today. Thank you so much for my health today. Thank you. I mean, whatever I put behind it gives it power. And in essence, it is a way that I train my mind to constantly be present with gratitude. No matter what's going on, I'm grateful in this moment. And I train myself so that when things come up in my life now, I will honestly tell you, those of you that have gratitude practices with me, it changes the way you see your world. Because in the greatest of challenges, I can always find something to say, I am so grateful for this. And it happens naturally. Viktor Frankl said, everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any set of circumstances, to choose one's own way.